Okay, let's unpack this. We've been digging into uh, a stack of articles and research notes all about some big news from OpenAI.
That's right. Specifically about their O3 models and the arrival of this brand new version, O3 Pro.
Yeah, O3 Pro. And there's a lot of detail here, right? Especially on pricing capabilities.
Exactly. It gives us a pretty fascinating look at how these models are evolving and, how they're being positioned in the market.
Absolutely. So our mission in this deep dive is really to cut through all that information.
Pull out the key stuff.
Yeah, pull out the most important insights, understand the real implications of these changes, especially like for your budget and what you can actually do with these things.
And see what folks who've, kicked the tires are saying.
Right. So how should we tackle this?
Well, I think we should start with that surprising price shift on the existing O3 model first.
Good idea.
Then maybe introduce this new Pro version, compare how it stacks up features, cost, performance, all that. And finally, maybe touch on some of those initial expert reactions to O3 Pro.
Perfect. Let's jump right in then. The first big headline from this material. It's about the existing O3 model, the basic one.
And the headline is, well, it's a massive price cut. The notes we're looking at say the cost for input tokens on that basic O3 has been slashed dramatically.
Give us the numbers on that. What are we talking about exactly?
Okay, so the price for input tokens, that's the text you feed into the model, right?
Right.
That's cut from $10 down to just $2 per $1 million tokens.
Wow. 10 down to 2.
And the output token, so the text the model gives back to you, that saw a similar drop. It went from $40 down to $8 per $1 million.
40 down to 8. Okay, wait. So from 10 to $2 and 40 to $8, that's what, an 80% drop on both?
Exactly. 80% down on input, 80% down on output. It feels like a major strategic move.
Definitely. The sources frame it that way, as competitive positioning.
Yeah, it's definitely framed as a significant push to, enhance their competitive position. They're getting aggressive on price for that standard model.
Okay, so how does this new, much lower O3 price compare? Let's look at the competitors mentioned in the sources.
Well, all right, if you put the new O3 pricing side by side, Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro, the notes list input tokens costing $1.25 to $2.50.
Okay, so O3 at $2 is right in there.
Right in that range, maybe slightly better depending on the exact Gemini tier. And Gemini's output is listed at $10 to $15.
So O3's $8 output is actually lower than Gemini's range there.
Seems like it, yeah.
Interesting. And what about Anthropic? Claude Opus 4. That one's usually seen as, well, pricier.
It is, yeah. The sources confirm that. Claude Opus 4 is listed at a much higher price point, $15 for input and a hefty $75 for output. Per million tokens, of course.
15 and 75. Phew.
Yeah, our sources explicitly call that out as the most expensive among the ones they compare directly.
That really highlights how aggressive this new O3 basic pricing is, especially against players like Google and Anthropic.
For sure.
But then there's also DeepSeek from China mentioned.
Right.
Seems like it's in a whole different league price-wise.
It absolutely does. The numbers for DeepSeek are, well, they're incredibly low. Input listed at $0 and $7.55.
7 cents.
Yeah, 7 cents to 55 cents, and output from $1.10 to $2.19.
No.
The material really points out just how much cheaper DeepSeek is. It's a stark contrast, to the pricing strategies of these other big Western models.
Okay, so the basic O3 price cut makes it super competitive on cost, clearly. But, pricing isn't the whole story. Performance matters too. The notes mention benchmark tests for the basic O3.
Right, yeah. There are references to artificial analysis benchmark tests. And importantly, these were done before this recent price drop.
Ah, okay, so baseline performance cost.
Exactly. These tests measure how well different models handle various tasks. And the key takeaway for the basic O3 was that it completed all its required tests for a total cost of $390.
$390. And how does that compare against the others back then?
Well, at that time, using those same tests, Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro cost $971 to complete.
Nearly $1,000.
Yeah. And Claude 4 Sonnet, which is, a less expensive Claude version than Opus that costs $342.
Okay, so O3 was already kind of in the ballpark, cost-wise, with Sonnet, and much cheaper than Gemini Pro even before the price cut.
Exactly. That's what the benchmarks suggest. It was already quite competitive on price for performance. Now, with this huge price drop, its cost-effectiveness on these kinds of standardized tests, well, it's just jumped significantly.
Right. Okay. So that's the story on the existing O3 model, getting much cheaper, looking really strong on price performance. Now, let's shift gears, because the notes also introduce this brand new model, O3 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't just like a slightly tweaked version of the basic O3, is it?
No, absolutely not. The information we have makes it really clear that O3 Pro is a distinct, separate model, different beast altogether.
Okay. And what are the core characteristics? What makes O3 Pro different, according to the sources?
Well, it's described as providing more reliable responses compared to the existing O3.
More reliable, okay.
And crucially, it's designed to be better at what they call thinking and analyzing for longer periods.
Thinking for longer.
Yeah.
That suggests it's built for, what, more complex stuff?
Yeah, tasks that need deeper reasoning, maybe complex problem solving or processes that, involve multiple steps and analysis.
Sounds like it's targeting more demanding use cases then. The notes also list some pretty advanced capabilities it supports.
Yes, several key advanced functions that really expand what it can do. Things like web search.
So it can pull live info.
Apparently, yes. Also, analyzing files you give it, processing visual input like images, and the ability to execute Python code directly.
Okay, that's a big deal. Code execution.
It is. The sources really emphasize how these capabilities significantly broaden what companies and developers can potentially do with the model, lets it interact with external data, tools, makes it more of an agent.
Okay, so we have the basic O3, now super cheap and competitive.
Yeah.
And then this new O3 Pro with better reliability, this longer thinking, advanced features. But here's the kicker, right? The price.
Yeah.
That really stood out in the details we have.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting. While the basic O3 price just plummeted, O3 Pro is positioned way up high, a significantly higher price point.
Okay, lay out the numbers for O3 Pro.
The O3 Pro is priced at $20 for input
$20 input.
and $80 for output per million tokens.
Okay, let me just process that. The new basic O3 is $2 input, $8 output.
Yeah,
The new O3 Pro is $20 input, $80 output.
you got it. That's a tenfold difference.
Wow.
Yeah. The notes point out specifically it makes O3 Pro roughly 10 times the price of the basic O3 at its new lower price.
Yeah.
That's a substantial difference in costs.
10 times. That certainly puts the Pro and O3 Pro, at least from a pricing angle.
Yeah.
But okay, price is one thing. How does it perform? Especially speed. Because the details we have included some specific and frankly kind of surprising examples.
They did. Yeah, despite the advanced capabilities based on these user tests cited in the material, O3 Pro currently seems to have some pretty significant speed limitations.
Like what?
Like, it reportedly takes 2 to 3 minutes just to generate a response to something as simple as saying hello.
2 to 3 minutes? For hello?
Okay.
That feels incredibly slow for a modern AI model
Yeah.
compared to what we're used to.
It definitely seems slow, yeah. And there was another example shared. Responding to the sentence, hello, I am Sam Altman, apparently took 3 minutes
Okay.
and consumed $80 worth of tokens.
$80 worth of tokens just for that short sentence.
Yeah,
because it
nuts.
took so long to process or because the output was complex somehow.
The notes imply it's the processing cost associated with its thinking time and the high per token price. These examples really highlight both the slowness and the potential cost per interaction.
Right.
So the conclusion drawn in the source materials is that O3 Pro seems to be prioritizing accuracy and analytical depth, that thinking for longer thing we mentioned, way over speed and responsiveness.
Okay, so it's expensive and it sounds quite slow, at least right now. Are there other technical limitations mentioned, things it can't do yet?
Yes, looking at the details, the O3 Pro currently does not offer image generation capabilities.
Okay. No D-layer style image making from it.
Correct. And also some features people might know from other interfaces, like the ChatGPT Canvas workspace and the temporary chat functions. Those are noted as being unavailable right now due to technical issues.
Okay, so expensive, slow, missing some features like image gen and maybe some UI conveniences. What does O3 Pro actually do better than the basic O3 that might justify this price tag and these limitations for certain users?
Right. The details do try to balance this out. They point out areas where O3 Pro shows superior performance compared to the basic O3,
Such as?
specifically noted in fields like science, writing, programming, and data analysis, complex domains.
Okay, so the heavy lifting tasks.
Exactly. So, despite the cost and the slowness, it's increased accuracy and these enhanced analytical features in those demanding areas. That's where its value proposition seems to lie. For specific enterprise needs or tasks where reliability and that deep analytical capability are absolutely critical, maybe the price and slowness are acceptable trade-offs.
That makes sense. It's
Yeah.
sounding like, a tool designed for a very different set of problems than the standard O3. What are the experts saying? Any initial takes mentioned?
The initial evaluations cited from experts seem generally positive, but they focus specifically on its strength in these more complex areas, aligning with what we just discussed.
Right. There was that quote from Ben Bajarin, right? Former Apple Vision Pro interface designer. Sam Altman himself apparently shared it.
Yeah, that got some attention.
What did Bajarin highlight about O3 Pro?
Bajarin is quoted as saying that O3 Pro is noticeably better at several key things: sensing the environment, communicating with tools, judging when to request external information, and choosing the appropriate tools.
Hmm. So more about its ability to act intelligently, use tools, understand context, less about just raw text generation speed.
Precisely. That evaluation really points towards its strength as a more sophisticated agent capable of interacting intelligently with the digital world and complex data, not just, spitting out text quickly.
And Sam Altman sharing that evaluation definitely signals that OpenAI sees this as a core strength,
Yeah.
right? A key differentiator for the Pro model.
Absolutely. It feels like they're highlighting this capability for complex agency and interaction, even accepting the current speed trade-off. It's not just about making the basic model faster or slightly more accurate.
Right. Okay, so let's try to pull all this together then, based only on what we've seen in these sources we looked at.
Okay, so we've got the basic O3 model, big price cut, looks very competitive now on cost and performance against its peers like Gemini, maybe even Claude Sonnet on some metrics.
Check. Then we have the new O3 Pro, much, much more expensive, like 10 times the price of the basic one now.
Yeah. And it's reported to be quite slow currently. Plus, it's missing some features right now, like image generation and maybe some workspace stuff.
The O3 Pro offers, supposedly, enhanced reliability.
Hmm.
It's built for longer, deeper analytical tasks. It includes those advanced capabilities like web search, file analysis, code execution.
And it shows superior performance specifically compared to the basic O3 in complex fields like science, writing, programming, data analysis.
So it really lays out a key decision point for potential users, doesn't it? Based purely on this info.
It does. Is
Yeah.
that substantial hike in cost for O3 Pro worth the promise of enhanced reliability, that deeper thinking capability, and those specific advanced features?
Given the clear trade-offs in speed and the current absence of some functions.
Exactly. It's a very, very deliberate segmentation of their offerings. They're not trying to make one model fit all, clearly.
Absolutely. Feels like two very different tools for different jobs.
Yeah, and if you connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests a move beyond just, offering slightly faster, cheaper, or marginally better versions of the same core thing.
Right.
They seem to be offering models with fundamentally different operational profiles designed for different kinds of problems, different kinds of users, different budgets.
Exactly. So here's something for you, the listener, to consider as you think about this deep dive into the sources we had.
Hmm.
Given these really distinct pricing strategies and these performance profiles, the cheap, fast enough basic O3 versus the expensive, slow but powerful O3 Pro, what does this suggest about how AI providers like OpenAI are starting to segment the market?
Yeah, how are they trying to appeal to different needs and different price sensitivities?
And maybe think about your own potential uses for AI models. How might you weigh the importance of things like accuracy and those advanced analytical features against the very real factors of speed and cost? Where does that balance lie for you?